Hello there, and welcome to another edition of Hashtag Now Smoking. I am your host, Gary Korb from CigarAdvisor.com, and today I'm joined by Jared Gulick, also from CigarAdvisor.com, one of our writers.
How's it going?
You've seen him, his videos, his writing, his stuff. You know, he's very good writer and covers a lot of ground. And today we're covering a very interesting cigar. Now, this is the Tabernacle Havana Seed number 142, Connecticut. It's grown in Connecticut. And this is the Lancero, which was introduced this year, following the release of the entire line, which was last year. And we have not smoked this cigar, have we?
I've smoked the cigar, but not this size.
Right.
Not this size.
I've had the Corona. I reviewed
Right.
that, but the Lancero is kind of going to be a new experience. And I don't smoke a lot of Lanceros, but this looks really interesting. And I know Nick Melillo, who created the cigar and the label. He's very proud of it. So why don't we inspect it and get going with it?
Yeah.
I think you did it's very toothy, the wrapper.
Yeah.
It's a very
oily
special
too.
wrapper.
Very
yes,
oily.
Yes, and we're going to talk about how it gets that oily in a few minutes.
No soft spots.
Yeah, mine is really nicely packed.
Yeah.
I'm not getting much of an aroma. Are you? Yeah, a little
it's
bit.
like some faint barnyard.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. See everything off the foot. Interesting. I don't know.
A ring gauge this small though.
Yeah.
This is going to be a lot of
So
flavor.
I'm going to do what you do. I'm going to V-cut.
Oh, changing it up, Mr.
I'm
Korb.
going to change it up for today. And let me do it this way.
Stealing my thunder.
But I'm going to do an X V-cut.
So do you habitually like open your cutter over the ashtray the first time too, just in case you left something in there?
I just like to have the stuff fall where it's supposed to fall.
Yeah, it's an
Instead of the
OCD thing
floor.
for me. Like I open it over the, because one time I opened it in my lap and
Yeah.
I had not cleaned it out before. So
All right, I'm getting a good draw. How about you? A little tobacco there.
it's
It's
I want to say it's firm, but
It is
it's
firm.
not. It doesn't impede the smoke.
exactly. All
you
right.
know?
So far we're in sync. All right, let's light her up. The pre-light taste is kind of leathery. That's what I'm getting.
Kind of nutty for me, almost.
Nutty to you. Okay.
Yeah.
Now you got to be very delicate with the Lancero. This is a 7-inch by 40 ring
Yeah.
Lancero,
Got to stay really far from it.
and you want to be real careful when you light it up. And the redder it gets, the farther away I keep the lighter. Oh yeah, that lit up really perfectly.
Yeah, I'd rather take my time lighting.
Yeah, I
Then
mean,
do
there's
it
nothing
fast.
wrong with that.
Right.
Right?
You know? Wow.
Bold. No, it's
Bold is right.
No, it does have some weight to it, but it's not. It was kind of smooth, but
Almost creamy.
yeah, and even a little sweet. I don't want to keep hitting on it too much, but it's got kind of some that Nicaraguan earthiness to it.
Sure.
And but so far it tastes pretty good.
It's got a really nice. Don't want to say it's real heady, but it's got this nice, almost intense layer of spice that's not overbearing.
Yeah, it's under there.
Yeah.
You know it's coming.
And it creeps up like if you keep it too close to your nose, it'll get there, and you'll notice it.
Yeah. So anyway, let's see what happens when we get a little bit more into that first act. Okay, we're back and we're in Act 1. And Jared, what have you got so far for this Lancero from Tabernacle?
It's interesting. We were talking off camera, and for those who may have tried the other sides of this, I got a lot of like caramel and cedar and some earth and some spices off the larger ring gauge sizes. But this one has been very nutty, very peppery. So
Really?
even within the same blend, it's interesting how much a small ring gauge can really make an impact.
Yeah, and you know what? We were talking about Nick Melillo before, who is a founder of Foundation Cigar Co, his brand here, and he's worked with the Connecticut farmers on developing this wrapper, and he said that I alluded to it earlier in the intro, but because it's a Lancero, he says you're really going to get a lot more of that wrapper flavor.
Oh yeah.
And you've written about that stuff.
Sure.
Like, different ring gauges and how it affects the blend.
Yeah.
Talking about the blend, the Tabernacle Havana Seed number 142 Lancero is made at Tabacalera A.J. Fernandez. It's not blended by him, but he does make the cigar for him. It is a 7-inch by 40 ring. The strength is full, although Nick describes it as medium full, but maybe for him it is medium full. This is a Connecticut grown Havana Seed, number 142 varietal. So they always give each seed or whatever, a number so they can keep track of what they're planting. And the binder is a San Andreas from Mexico. And the filler is a combination of Esteli and Jalapa from Nicaragua. And then you have this Jamastran from Honduras. And I'm a big fan of Honduran tobacco. I'm a very big fan of Jamastran. Can you tell us a little bit about Jamastran?
Yeah, it's interesting that, you have that play. If we talk about Jalapa a lot, but I feel like Jamastran tobacco kind of always gets the short end of the stick, no pun intended.
Yeah, well, I guess maybe it's because they use it a lot, but maybe because Honduran cigars aren't as popular, but you do see it.
Yeah, it's used often, but it's not talked about often,
right?
Because it's not as big of a selling point. But geographically speaking, you're looking about an hour north across the Honduran border.
Right.
Is the Jamastran Valley. It's very it's very close to the Jalapa Valley where they grow the tobaccos, but they're completely two different animals. Looking at a map, you'd probably be like, oh, these taste the same. They're grown really close together. Right. But that clay-like soil that's in the Jalapa Valley lends to a sweeter tobacco. And then you go north, you have to cross a mountain range into the Honduran border to get down back into the Jamastran Valley near Donley.
Right.
And then the tobaccos take on it's a different component in the soil, it's different makeup altogether, and they tend to be a little bit spicier. They tend to be a little bit, there's still sweetness,
Yeah.
It's still close enough that it has that sweetness, but it's more of like this baking spices, this exotic spices, or these exotic spices, I should say, that really give the tobacco an interesting character.
Well, I'm getting a pretty smooth smoke, and I'm getting pepper on the finish, but I'm not getting a lot of strength, which is good. I'm not getting, like I said, a lot of that pepper, but I can see the baking spices, and there is still that earthiness from the Nicaraguan in there. And I guess I don't know what San Andreas used. I don't know if he used a Maduro or a natural, as they call it, but the wrapper itself should have a certain amount of sweetness, but it's more like, it's not the sweetness I got, like, say, last week when I did the review with Jenny and the Rocky Patel. That was sweet.
Right.
But this is a different kind of sweetness. It's almost like when you get that dark chocolate and it's like 90%.
Well, almost like baking chocolate, right?
Yeah. It's more like that.
Well, how I found the sweetness, or if you want to kind of like dial it up and increase the sweetness a little bit, is what I did is, we were talking about this off camera too. You just take a draw on the cigar.
Okay.
Let it sit for a minute, and then you can taste it on your lips. There's like this sweet.
I'm not getting that. I'm being honest, but
your mileage
that's the
may
beautiful
vary.
thing. Yeah, that's the beautiful thing about smoking cigars. Another thing that I wanted to talk about here was Nick says that in some circles it's believed that Lanceros are the best way to truly taste the cigar's terroir. You just talked about that, and it really does have to do with the soil. It's all about the soil and the seed and how they develop these seeds to actually, I think, work better in that particular soil.
Sure.
And it's got to, and he says that this is a cigar size that cigar makers smoke themselves, and I found that to be so true.
Yeah.
I
mean, I would build upon what Nick said to say that, and I agree with him wholeheartedly, but I think that, and you kind of touched upon this, that a cigar with such a small ring gauge like this is a great way to smoke or experience a wrapper. because
Yes.
there's so much more wrapper real estate. You know, if you have like a large 60 or even 70 gauges that some people are smoking these days, there's stuff in that thing with a lot more filler and you know, filler tobacco, whereas this, you're getting a much higher ratio of wrapper, you know, to your flavor. So what I think makes this a little bit different, why we're getting those notes of nuttiness, and why we're getting, like, I'm even starting to get a little bit of coffee now.
Yes.
Is twofold. One, like I said, the size of the cigar, and two is because of this hybrid leaf.
Yeah.
You're looking at a Habano that's been bred with a Connecticut broadleaf. So it's Connecticut Habano and the Connecticut broadleaf. So it's like you're getting both. It's like it's almost like having a dual wrapper.
Yeah.
You know?
It's not unlike what Ernesto did with the 80th in his wrapper.
Very
his
similar.
Wrapper.
Very
but
similar.
This is not, I'm not getting sweetness, which is fine. I mean, I know I like sweet cigars, you know, but it doesn't always have to be like that. But I am getting a little bit of that coffee, and the pepper is like on the finish. It's not in the smoke, and it's kind of like hitting me right up here.
Sure.
I'm not retrohaling, but it's like as if I did.
Yeah.
What did you get out of the retrohale? Because I'm gonna give it a shot.
Retrohale is properly intense. to me, it's where most of the pepper is. You know, if I do just a straight draw, I feel like I always have like a little bit coming out of my nose even when I do a standard draw. But if I force myself to not have anything come through my nose, just like you, I'm not getting much pepper, not a whole lot of spice. But if I put it through the nose, there's a lot of like almost like white pepper.
Yeah, you know, it's not that real hot pepper. It's,
right.
I just got it, you know, and what happens is it's like the smoke comes out, and it's kind of smooth and creamy, and then all of a sudden, like, here comes the pepper, you know.
It's a good way to sound.
It's tingling in there. But I'm enjoying it. What about you?
Dude, I'm telling you, this is a great experience. And what I love about it is, like I said, it's a completely different animal than the larger sizes. You know, it's, you know, if you're looking for, to Gary's point, if you're looking, you know, to him it's a little bit more creamy and mellow. To me, it's a little bit more intense.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
It depends. It depends on the palate.
Yeah.
This might creep up on you later, though.
I hope not.
I hope
had
not
that once
too.
before.
Right.
Anyway, so far it's going great. Let's see what happens when we get to Act 2. Have you noticed the volume of smoke in this cigar?
Oh yeah.
It really puts it out. I want to talk about the presentation. It's a box of 24 cigars. Look how beautiful this is. They have this beautiful black ribbon and the nice gold and maroon bands, and I mean, whoever this guy is. And sorry, Nick. And I even like the antiquing on the box. You know, it's just a beautiful presentation, and it's made for a store. You see, there's a little slot in the back, so when it goes to the retail store, the customer can see what it is, you know. So and it's really, really nice. And the cigar lists for about, at this time, about $13. It's $12.75 retail.
I'd pay that.
What do you think?
I'd actually. Yeah. So this is full. Like you're talking about MSRP price.
That would be the top price. Yeah.
I mean, I'd pay
the factory price.
I'd pay $12 for this.
Really?
And I know it's not going to cost that. I don't know what the price of this is because, like you, it's the first time I've smoked it. But
well, I can tell you one thing. You did like this cigar in your top 10, and you did earlier this year. You did a first half of the year.
Oh yeah, the top 10 of the cigars of the year so far.
So in fact, I'm going to do my top 10 very soon of the year.
Yeah.
But you talked about the blend and why you liked it so much. And,
yeah, this was actually the
number one, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but now again, it wasn't based off of this size.
No.
And I don't know. The jury's still out for the end of the year. There's been a lot of cigars that have come out from the trade show that have really knocked my socks off. But this is still very much in the running for my list. Still very much in the running.
Yeah, I think this is the kind of cigar that, you know, he talked about it being a personal smoke. And you know what? Many years ago, Manuel Quesada, we were talking about Lanceros, because at the time people were putting out Lanceros. And I said, tell me a little about the Lancero. He goes, this is, and he called it a personal cigar. And it's kind of that's why I think the manufacturers make them for themselves. I know George Rico came in once from Gran Habano, and he gave me a cigar. He goes, this is my personal cigar. It was a Lancero. Nick Melillo now, a Lancero.
Robert Holt has one.
Robert Holt
Yeah.
from Southern Draw. He came in a couple months ago.
Yeah.
And he said, "Hey, I got some cigars I make just for me."
Right.
And what was it? Lancero.
Right.
So there's definitely something to it, and I think this is the kind of cigar you want to just kind of pair with a good drink, and kick back and relax, and try not to be interrupted, and try to really appreciate the flavor of this really special wrapper. Well, what would you pair with this, by the way?
Probably a rye whiskey. Now, I'm
Okay.
not really much. Everybody knows I'm not much of a.
You're not a big drinker.
I'm not a big
I'm not
spirits
really
guy.
either.
You know, I'm more of like a beer guy.
Yeah, I'm more of a
But
coffee guy.
I'm not into that craft beer stuff or
Yeah.
anything like that. But I think the reason rye whiskey would go well with this is because rye whiskey tends to pair well with spicier things.
Okay.
And this is, at least to my palate, and I know we're a little bit different here, but this
Yeah.
is a little bit more of a spicy, like it's got this exotic spice thing going on in the background. And I think that spiciness of the rye is going to bring that out in the cigar.
Okay.
So I tend to like spicier cigars. I want
Right.
to feel the cigar. I want to experience the cigar. You
Right.
know, so I think
and that's
that
part
would
of
help
what the
that.
Lancero experience
Sure.
is supposed to be.
I agree with you.
I would probably, because I tend to like sweeter, I would probably go with a rum, a sweeter rum, or even a bourbon, just to get that sweetness mixed in with the spice. And I'm definitely getting this spicy finish. But again, it's not hot or peppery or anything. It's just spicy. You know, it's different. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, trying a new food.
I'll bring you some of my Tortuga from Jamaica.
Okay. But what are you getting flavor-wise at this point?
So, before I was saying that it started building toward coffee a little bit.
Yeah, I'm still getting a little bit of that.
Well, for me at this point, so I'm trailing a little bit behind you, but
Yeah, I don't know why. I thought I was taking my time.
I think I was just a little intimidated by the ring gauge, and I was like, I'm
think
gonna
so?
slow
But
slow
you've
down.
been smoking small ring cigars, so
Usually
maybe
about
not.
46. So
Okay.
going down to 40 like this, I was like, ooh, this is gonna be, this is
Well,
gonna knock my socks off, I'm sure.
When I heard Lancero, I thought I even imagined it might even be a 36 or a 38.
I'm glad
it's a 40.
I'm glad it's a 42 because like a 36, whew,
Yeah.
this would be concentrated. But yeah, it's definitely got a lot of coffee character. There's still some of that nuttiness in the background, and I still get that. It's a really, really whispery sweetness in the background.
Yeah, it's very, very
just-
subtle.
it's
That's
real-
what they call the nuances.
Yeah, the nuance.
It's
The nuance,
But even
yeah.
the ash is nice. I mean, take a look at that. It's just, it's pretty firm.
darker too.
And it's dark. It, has kind of like that dark gray and kind of like a little dime stack, as they say. in
Coin
America.
stack, yeah.
But it's just a really nice smoke, and I'm just having a good time with it.
Yeah.
I thought it was good, and I think it's definitely full bodied, but it could lean a little more into the medium. I mean, that's what's happening for me. It is more like Nick described it, medium full.
Broadleaf to me isn't exactly a spicy tobacco.
No, it's usually much sweeter.
Habano can be a little spicier, but it also depends on where it's grown. Habano just means Cuban seed. That's all it really means.
Of course.
So being grown in Connecticut is not known for being overly spicy, even in the broadleaf spectrum. But I think probably some of the spices that we're getting from this cigar are from that Hammerstrom.
Really?
At least
okay,
some.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Honduran tobacco is normally spicy by nature.
Right.
But if you get like good Corojo from there, or Criollo, it's a little sweeter. So I say let's keep going, and we'll see what happens when we get into Act 3.
Yeah.
And we are in Act 3, and Jared, what are you tasting at this point?
Almost like still in that coffee
Yeah,
area, but
I'm getting that too.
it's a little bit more almost on the mocha side. A little bit of that
Okay,
chocolate
I might
mixed
give
in.
you that.
So you had that hint of baking chocolate, right? So it's starting to build on that chocolate for me.
Well, it's more like bittersweet chocolate that you would buy over the counter,
Yeah.
not necessarily stuff. But I'm getting a little more sweetness
Yes.
in this last third, and I don't think we mentioned that these wrappers, like Nick says here, that the seed is extremely rare and unlike any other tobacco in the world. And what they do is he ferments it for 3 years. He's into long fermentation.
Yeah.
I mean, when I did the article on San Andreas, Mexican wrapper, he talked about how he went to Mexico and they brought the tobacco back to Nicaragua and they fermented it completely differently than the way they do in Mexico.
Yeah.
And they did it longer and
Right.
got more oil out of it. And this is a nice, it doesn't shimmer per se, but it is a
Right.
very oily wrapper.
And I think that's why he had to ferment it so long, because all the extra oil in the tobacco. I mean, you're talking about 3 times as long as even the longest traditional fermentation
Right, 3
period,
years
but
is a long
it's a
time.
very long time.
And I think that's why it's so smooth.
Yeah.
It's another thing too.
I agree with you that it's
smooths out the
smooth. I
cigar.
just think, I know we're getting some different stuff. I don't want people to think that I'm taking away from this that it's not smooth, because it's a very smooth cigar.
Yeah,
but
well,
I have to
was
admit
even-
that there's some spice in there too, like I
Oh
said.
yeah, it's been spicy all the way.
But I agree with you. It builds sweeter as
Mm-hmm.
it goes. It's not overly complex, but you kind of hit it on the head earlier. It's
Yeah.
nuanced.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
nuanced, very nuanced.
Yeah, so it's
And
complex in that way. But I did get that change up.
Yeah.
You know, where it got a little sweeter.
I really think that, you know, if a person is looking for a cigar that's going to be, you know, in a Lancero format, it's kind of a niche format, but people love it, and we know it's, as you said, really popular with cigar manufacturers. It's their
Yeah.
personal blends.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for something in a smaller ring gauge that's going to give you burst after burst of flavor, but it does it subtly, I think this is
Right.
the cigar for them.
I agree too, and I think that Nick did a marvelous job on this, and his stuff is really good. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, he puts a lot of love and passion into it, and really serious about what he does. And he's, like I said, he's been working with these farmers in Connecticut. They have a Connecticut tobacco project up there.
Yeah.
And then they all work together on getting like better quality tobacco, and it's just really delicious. Well, we are really enjoying the cigar, and we're going to keep going with it. Jared, I want to thank you for coming on the show.
Oh, it's my pleasure,
You're a good
Gary.
sport, and one of the reasons I brought you on today is because I know you love this blend.
I do. I love this blend. I love it.
And it's nice that we haven't smoked this particular size. too.
Right.
Right. So anyway, the cigars again are available at famous-smoke.com. They're beautifully presented, and don't forget to follow Cigar Advisor and subscribe to our emails and stuff like that. CigarAdvisor.com, of course, and follow us on Facebook, right? And also we are on Twitter and we are on YouTube.
And
We got
Instagram.
all our YouTube videos, Instagram.
Yeah.
We got a guy, a social media guy. He's on Instagram all day long. It's amazing.
He is.
Takes a lot of pictures, and I just think this is great. And when you go to YouTube, make sure that you subscribe, and if you want to get notifications, click that little bell.
That's right.
Right. So you get those notifications, and you see videos like this, the ones that Jared's done, we've all done. And I want to thank you for watching. Join us next time on #NowSmoking. I'm Gary Korb for CigarAdvisor.com, and happy smokes.